Welcome everyone to tonight's Zoom on the Visual Arts and Architecture at HWS. My name is Kathy Williams, and I am the head of communications here at HWS. I'm here to facilitate the conversation with Professor D'Angelo, and I'll introduce Professor D'Angelo. She's going to give a short presentation, and we'll leave plenty of time for questions at the end, which you can submit via the chat feature or just by simply raising your hand. I'll keep be paying attention to that. So we're very lucky to have Gabriella D'Angelo here. She's an awesome professor at Hobart and William Smith and also super cool. So she is a professor of art and architecture. She received a Master of Architecture 1 from the University of Buffalo and a Master of Architecture 2 from the Cooper Union. She is an artist and a designer known for experimentation that leads to playful investigations of formal material, experiential, and construction methodologies. And her interdisciplinary design practice has led to both independent and collaborative projects, including parks and installations and clothing. So, Professor D'Angelo, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy, so much for the introduction. And good evening, everyone, again, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. I'm really excited to be here with you all to give you a little glimpse into what we do over at the in the arts campus over in the Department of Art and Architecture, focused on the visual arts and architecture in particular. So the visual arts and architecture programs at HWS present a really vibrant opportunity that nurture our students' creative interests at various levels and mediums. And I'm going to take you on a small tour down Kings Lane to the heart of our visual arts on campus. I'm going to try to hide this floating menu here. Oops. All right. So just a cool short walk south from the main campus. I don't know if many of you have done this yet while you're visiting campus, and I hope you have, but you will find HWS's Art Campus, an oasis of creativity for many of our students and faculty alike. The Department of Art and Architecture is comprised of 3 different programs. So we have studio art, art history, and architectural studies. Here you will find students that are designing, making, analyzing, curating, discussing, and building flying buttress architectural examples with their bodies to test out structural principles. Our students are passionate, resilient, creative, expressive, and excited to forge relationships with their cohort of students and faculty members. We have a great sense of studio culture, we call it, or kind of a creative synergy, a creative kind of group of our students. They really feel connected to one another and to us also, which we feel really fortunate about. Looking at an aerial of the arts campus here, so if we're looking in the center, let me hide this again, right in here, just for those of you that haven't come to campus. So if you walk down Kings Lane to the left, you're going to see Houghton House. And Houghton House is an 1800s brick mansion that houses architectural studies and art history and many faculty offices. Then right up the road from there, you're going to find the Carriage House, which is the kind of the center of our imaging and new media. And then down to the right of that, you're going to find our 2006 edition, which is called the Elliott Studio Art Center. And that houses the core of our art facilities and courses on campus. So if you're interested in studio art, we have classes that cover a kind of a wide range of opportunities within the mediums of painting, drawing, printmaking, sculpture, and imaging, which is, again, photography, video, and new media. Consistent throughout the studio art experience is attention to craft, development of a kind of refined understanding of formal relationships, the exercise of rigorous practice, the rigorous practice of art making, and exposure to a broad range of historical and contemporary examples of art in the world. Students creatively engage in the development of visual languages, and this study prepares them to further study in graduate school, as well as jump into a wide range of careers. So some of them are working at media companies, at fashion and jewelry design firms and companies, various museums, galleries, publishing houses, art institutes, and many of them are also continuing to practice, whether they're professional. It's a kind of a lifelong kind of love that many of our students continue in some way. Art history covers all periods of art and architecture of America, Europe, Asia, North Africa, and the Islamic world. Their courses cover disciplinary and interdisciplinary issues like art practice and pedagogy, patronage, historical movements, gender and art, text and images, historiography and theory, and exhibition planning and design. Students learn how to analyze visual culture and become adept at writing, researching, critical thinking, and public speaking in preparation for careers in museums, art galleries and auction houses, graduate school, and a variety of other places too. Our students end up going to be architects and designers and, or they do something completely outside of it, but have this kind of creative ability that really gives them a heads up in a lot of ways, no matter where they are. Oh, going back to one thing there. Critical museum studies is also kind of housed under the umbrella of art history and is our newest development in the department, which is a minor that explores museum history through an interdisciplinary decolonial lens. Students learn through critical engagement with the discourse of museums, as well as a hands-on experience in the college's galleries and beyond. So this has been a really amazing opportunity for students who are interested in maybe going into galleries and museums, but also have an interest in history theory. They really want to kind of reconceive and understand what museums are and what they can be moving forward in the 21st century. Architectural studies. This is more of my speed here. In our pre-professional architectural studies program, students pursue a rigorous introduction to design thinking and making, embracing a liberal arts philosophy based on the belief that roundedly educated individuals make for the best architects and designers. The more you know, the more you can create. Interdisciplinary coursework informs students about the complex relationships between our built environment and all life that inhabits it. Students become visual communicators, creative problem solvers, nonlinear thinkers, and collaborative learners. The architectural studies major prepares students to enter a number of different fields in design. Graduate studies and professional careers, including architecture, landscape architecture, industrial design, urban design, interior design, graphic design, historic preservation, real estate, and construction management, to name a few things. So we're not solely focused on architecture as building, but on a much broader, grander scope of what that is, thinking interdisciplinarily and collaboratively. Architectural studies is offered as a major only, which separates it from our other programs, which you can take as a major or a minor, if I didn't say that already. Some specifics here to remember as you're coming into the colleges this coming fall. So explore art and architecture. You're all here because you have some interest in art and architecture, hopefully. Or if you're interested in just learning a little bit more about that. So any questions that you have, I'll take it in just one moment. So when you are working with your advisor this summer, I would encourage you to test out an introductory level class in any of these disciplines. So in any of these programs. And in art history, we have 2 classes that are going to be offered in the fall: ancient through medieval, and Renaissance through modern. Those are 2 different ones. We have an introduction to architecture class that you can take. We have a variety of introductory studio art classes, including intro to 3D, intro to drawing, intro to sculpture, color and composition. These are all amazing opportunities for you to kind of get your feet wet and to see if it is what you want to do, right? The beauty of a liberal arts institution is that you have the opportunity to kind of test out a variety of classes before you decide that you're going to dedicate yourself as a major or a minor into anything. So, but for many of you, you may know, like, I want to get into this right away. I'm super interested and I got to know. So test these out and see if they are really something you're passionate about. Get involved as soon as you get to campus. Something I want to tell you is that we have so much opportunity for our students. So go ahead and become a member of the Art and Design Collective, which is our a student club on campus, and they do a bunch of things connected to architecture, art, and design on campus, in the community, and beyond. And it's really a kind of vibrant community to be a part of. That's not just students that are art and architecture majors, but are from across the campus. We have 3 different galleries on campus that you can go and see the exhibitions. You can become an intern. Our Provenzano gallery is our student run gallery. So it actually is from selecting shows, curating them, designing them, putting out all of our marketing. That is our students making those decisions. So that's such an amazing opportunity for anybody who maybe wants to get into kind of gallery and exhibition work down in the future. We have an amazing art and architecture lecture series every semester, welcoming in a variety of professionals from across all of our kind of disciplines, coming to talk to us and our students. And that's just a great opportunity to network and be a part of, start to understand a little more broadly what it is that you can do with these disciplines and with these degrees that you're going to be getting. As you're kind of, building momentum in architecture and studio art and art history, you may decide that you want to do an independent study or an honors project down the line. So this may be because there's a class that isn't offered and you want to kind of carve out time to focus in on something specific that you're interested in. Or it may be that you've learned something in one of these classes and you want to dive deeper into it, right? And maybe you don't have that opportunity with the classes that are offered on campus, that semester or whatnot. So you can work with faculty to develop opportunities for yourself with independent, which are 1 semester studies, or honors projects, which are year-long independent studies. Internship opportunities through the colleges. We have a variety of internships that you can jump into. Some of them are connected to organizations downtown. Some of them are connected to faculty research that we're doing every summer. And last but not least, go abroad. We have so many opportunities for you to go abroad that are specific to each of these majors and minors, each of these programs. For instance, every spring semester, the Department of Art and Architecture is in charge of running the Rome program. So you can go with faculty. It's a faculty-led program to Rome, which is an amazing opportunity for anybody to learn about art and architecture. But you can also go to a variety of other programs that are tailored for these majors and minors in particular, or elsewhere. And again, you can work with your advisor if you know that you want to study in Berlin, make it a point when you're talking to your advisor so that you can all start to kind of think about that and get you set up so that you can go abroad, which is just one of my favorite things to do, actually. Before we kind of jump into anything else, I guess it's a good time to ask if anybody has any questions.
We do have a question in the chat, which is, when do I have to declare an architecture major? This is from Grace Pop.
Hi, Grace. You don't have to declare any major until the 2nd semester of your sophomore year. So, and I encourage you to take the prerequisites of any kind of major that you're interested in jumping into before you declare, just to make sure that you like what you're doing, to make sure that you're doing well, and also to make sure that you can get some advisement around it to kind of understand the broader scope of what you're going to be getting into. But that doesn't mean that you can't declare before then either. So some students like to declare earlier than that because they know that that's what they want to do.
Okay, we have another question. What countries can you study abroad? You sort of hit a little bit on this, Gabriella, with talking about
Yeah.
Italy, but what are some of the other places where students can go abroad?
Absolutely. So for art and architecture, for architecture in particular, you can go abroad to Rome, you can go to Copenhagen, you can go to Berlin. We have a few new programs in Seoul, South Korea, and in Perth, Australia as well. So those are kind of new opportunities that students are starting to get into. I know that I think Aix-en-Provence in France, there's opportunity to take classes for studio art and for art history as well. So I think, you know, Copenhagen definitely is one for studio art, and I think art history as well. So there's a lot kind of within that kind of blends between all of the programs. But I know that there's a few more that are particular to studio art and art history as well that are just not coming to my brain right now. So, but you can find them on our website, or you can please email me and I can get you that information as well. These are constantly kind of shifting too, which is kind of nice. There's a lot of opportunities that are open, but not all of them are faculty led. So some of our programs are faculty led and some of them are not, which may or may not, you know, be a concern to you, but is something to be aware of.
Okay,
These are good
another,
questions,
I
everyone.
know. There's another question from Deshaun Mark. What internships do you have for students majoring in architecture?
Did you say that one more time, Kathy? I'm sorry.
Sure. What internships do you have for students majoring in architecture?
Absolutely. So every now and again in the summertime, we have research opportunities. We have basically research internships for our students to work alongside us in our research that we've done. So in the past, I've had 2 to 5 students working with me on a variety of projects. A lot of what I do is community engaged work. And so, you know, we're out in the community, working with the community, designing and building community gardens, designing and building kind of social infrastructure around the city. So that has happened. We've had other faculty that have opportunities for students as well. So in architecture, doing work alongside their faculty, helping them to do whatever it is that their research is. We also have our alum network, which is amazing. And so every summer, it seems that we get a few that reach out to us and let us know that there are opportunities that they'd love to take on an HWS student who's interested. So that's happened too. And then a lot of our students end up kind of making connections themselves and networking. So they know that they, you know, have a friend whose father is an architect, so they connect up with them, right? Or their father is in construction, and so they end up doing something like that for the summer. So there's a lot of kind of connections that our students come in with and that they have a network in order to get internship opportunities, which isn't a requirement for the major, but is a really amazing opportunity for students, you know, when they can get that opportunity, that chance. And it also is something that you can get credits for. So you can work with your advisor and your dean to get a half a credit to a full credit for summer internship opportunities that you take on.
We also have the guaranteed internship program through Career Services that guarantees you an internship at some point, usually in the summer after your sophomore year, but it can be different summers too. So everyone does get that. Okay, here's another one. Is the architecture program accredited?
No, our program is a pre-professional degree, which means that it is not accredited, but it doesn't mean that you can't go on to practice. And many of our students will go on to practice. Most of our students will go on for a master's of architecture if they want to practice architecture, which just kind of speeds up the process of getting you licensed if that's of interest in the future. And it opens some more doors for you too when it comes to getting jobs and opportunities in the future. But again, isn't required. to
Yeah, and our
to
students,
practice in an architecture firm.
can you tell us a couple of places where our students, like graduate schools where our students have gone?
Yeah, as of recently last year, Yale, Parsons, Pratt, RISD, Rhode Island School of Design, University of Virginia, University of Michigan, Berkeley. So our students are kind of all over the map. That's kind of just a recent memory of sorts, but they're all over the country going to a variety of schools for architecture or anything related to architecture. So landscape architecture, urban planning, historic preservation, interior design. So it doesn't have to just be that, but yeah, so our students they're doing amazing actually. And it's a really awesome opportunity for us to connect our students. So for instance, if you're interested in going to Rhode Island School of Design and you want to talk to somebody, we have a network of students that basically we can say, hey, why don't you go and talk to Megan? I have her email, connect to her, ask her about her experience as well. So I think I just went off on a tangent, but
No,
there's a lot of
I think that sounds great. What is the difference between a 4 and a 5 year architecture degree?
Absolutely. So a 5-year architecture degree is a bachelor's of architecture, and it's your first professional degree. And it's basically intensive architecture. So every class that you take, every opportunity that you have is connected to architecture because you need to have you need to take specific classes that are going to help in your kind of professional pursuits moving forwards and in taking the exams and working in a firm. So you'll take classes like professional practice and structures and acoustics and lighting. So it's more kind of technical in a way. And, there's a little bit of conceptual too, but every class that you take is architecture. A bachelor's of architecture, like we have, the 4-year degree, is it's not an accredited degree, so it's a pre-professional, and that means that not every class that you take is going to be geared towards architecture. It's an interdisciplinary kind of approach to a broader understanding of what architecture and design are, thinking through it historically, thinking through it artistically, thinking through it environmentally. And then our students are taking classes, for instance, in sociology and women's studies. And I've taught abroad with a biologist, and we had a bidisciplinary class together. So they're taking classes that are much broader, that are connected to our built environment and the idea of inhabiting that built environment from multiple perspectives. So in the 32 classes that students have to take to graduate, 13 of them count towards our major, which means that our students have the opportunity to also dual major, go ahead and be an environmental studies major and an architecture major, be an English major and an architecture major. They have to minor and major at this point in something as well. So this is something that is not really possible when you're going to a 5-year degree or 5-year program that is solely focused on architecture. Trying to do a minor, trying to do other things that are outside of the discipline are really hard to fit in.
Okay, here is another one, sort of related, but does the school also provide the engineering part of architecture?
The engineering part, so we do have a 3+2 engineering program, I believe through our physics kind of department. I'm not quite sure that we've had a student go through that in a number of years, so that'd be something I'd have
No,
to check on.
yeah, we have a couple of students going through it now. That's a 3+2 with Columbia and also Dartmouth.
Perfect. So we've had students in the past try to do both architecture and engineering, and I think I've only had one student do it while I've been here at HWS. Other students will end up doing things like they'll be physics majors or they'll be math majors. We've had computer science as well. So if they're interested in kind of engineering, they can take more focused classes in physics and math, for instance, or try to do this program, the 3+2, which again, I would have to double check just to make sure it's still a possibility to be architecture and engineering, because the engineering program has a certain rigor to it to allow students to be done with their work here within 3 years and then go to Columbia or Dartmouth. So,
Okay,
but
go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry, Gabrielle.
no, go ahead.
Another question about study abroad. Is it possible to go abroad during the first year at HWS?
I have never had a student go abroad in their first year. I think that global ed, for the most part, I think they want you to do your first year here on campus to make sure that you're kind of settled and have a direction in terms of where you go abroad before you go. So I've had students go in their sophomore year, but not in their freshman year. I don't know if there's like a if you're not allowed to do that, like is there some kind of a limit that's set by global ed? And there might be, and I just don't know that, but I've never had a first year go. Maybe you
Yeah,
know
I've
that, Kathy. Do you know?
no, I've never had a first year go either. Yeah, we usually like to keep students here, but I don't know if that's a hard and fast rule or if there is a way to do it in the spring of your first year. But yeah, we have another question.
Yeah.
It's similar to what you answered already. Can you speak to what you see as the advantages or disadvantages of majoring in architecture at a liberal arts college instead of a traditional four-year college?
Absolutely. At a liberal arts institution, you get a much broader kind of experience of what architecture and design is. You're not solely focused on all of your classes being architecture, but for instance, in our program, 2/3 of our courses can be taken outside of our program, outside of our, so that gives you an idea of how interdisciplinary our program is. Our students also get to take or get to learn from more perspectives, more disciplines, right? So when you're an architect or designer, you're never working for architects and designers. Like you're never designing something, a house for an architect, right? You're designing a house for a teacher, a biologist, an engineer, right? You're designing spaces for people that, are coming from all walks of life. So to be able to understand how to design things from multiple perspectives only makes you a better designer, right? To be able to take that biology class and then to work to design, a science lab, for instance, right? It just gives you a much better understanding of how to design that space and how to talk to people outside of your discipline, which is also something that's really important. But the more you know, the more you can create. So the more perspectives, the more knowledge that you have, the better communicator you are, the better designer you are. And at the end of the day, it just makes for a stronger foundation for you to move forward in any kind of design discipline.
One of the things that I've always admired about our architecture program is it's just the outcomes of where our students end up going, which you did talk about earlier. But graduate schools are very interested in our students because they have this broad interdisciplinary approach that you just don't get at other colleges and universities. And
Mhm.
our students go on to do amazing things. Okay, another question. Just to clarify, if I want to become a licensed architect and I do HWS's pre-professional program, do I have to go and get my master's at a different university or college to obtain my license?
At this point in time, you do not need to do that. So you can still get licensed through NCARB. It's basically if you take your architecture register examinations and you do a certain amount of time working with a licensed professional, you can go ahead and become a licensed architect. This will take you longer if you have not gotten your master's degree or a professional degree, because they take that into account when it comes to kind of registering your hours and collecting your history basically, and kind of calculating towards that licensure. So so it's at this point anyways, it's still a possibility. It doesn't mean that that won't change in the future, so that's something to be aware of. I can't promise that that the NCARB will allow for this to happen forever, but as of right now, it is still a possibility. And many of our students don't go to grad school right away. They decide that, you know, I'm going to go and I'm going to work for a couple of years. I'm going to figure out if this is a direction that I want to head. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to live as a human before I jump back into the seat of being a student again, you know, be an adult for a little bit. And then they decide like, yeah, you know what, I do want to go on for a graduate degree. You know, this is going to help me, you know, learn more in a focused way. And that's what graduate school will do, is kind of focus you in terms of your interests and expertise. It'll help you to make stronger connections in the field as well when it comes to practicing down the line, but it's not a requirement and it's not a necessity. And not all of our students do it either. And they're doing amazing out there, working at a variety of different firms, starting their own businesses, really finding their way in the world of art and design and in the way that they are interested. Yeah, our
Okay,
students have
well,
a real entrepreneurial spirit. So if you're interested in that.
that is true. I'm thinking immediately of Maddie Mead, who started a company with
Yep.
yeah, I mean it's incredible. Well, those are the questions. If anyone has any other questions, you know, holler. But those that we've reached the end of the questions. So is there anything else, Gabriella, that you'd like to add before we end?
I would just say a few additional takeaways. You know, our visual arts and architecture programs at HWS are vibrant and inspiring. I'm inspired all the time by my students, and I'm hoping to always bring more to them. Our faculty are publishing, exhibiting, and designing around the globe, developing new opportunities and courses for students to engage and learn. Our students are an enthusiastic and creative collective that forge their own paths within their art and design passions, bridging art and design with a world of infinite opportunities across campus. So majoring and minoring in all kinds of other interests. And that really kind of influences what they do in our studios, in our classrooms, and inspires us to do new and creative things as well. And as I tell my students, you're at a liberal arts institution. This is an amazing opportunity to expand your horizons, both wide and deep. Explore, be bold, be brave, be curious, and you'll go places. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My information is here. You can also find me on the website. And if I don't know the answer, I can get you in touch with that person that does. So feel free to reach out, even if you think I'm not quite the person to get you, you know, that answer. I will make sure that you get to that person. Thank you again, everyone, for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy, for also being here as well. It's always exciting to welcome a new cohort into HWS, and I hope to see all of you in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a good evening.